Welcome, welcome. I want you to pay attention to a name. Just a name, two words. Richard Parker. Hold on to it, because by the time that I'm done, you're not going to be able to let it go. We start in 1838. Edgar Allan Poe, the man who invented the detective story, the man who gave us The Raven, the man who understood darkness the way that other people understood the sunlight. In 1838, he published the only novel that he ever wrote, the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. It is a seafaring adventure story. A stowaway on a whaling ship, mutiny, shipwreck, and then something that would haunt history for the next 2 centuries. Midway through the novel, 4 survivors find themselves adrift in a lifeboat. No food, no water, no rescue in sight. Days pass, then more days, and eventually the unthinkable conversation begins. One of them has to die so the others can survive. They draw straws. The short straw goes to a young man named Richard Parker. He is killed and he is consumed. The others, they survive. Poe, he called his own novel very silly. He had no idea what he had just done. Now we move the clock forward 46 years. 1884. A wealthy Australian lawyer named Jack Want. He purchases a yacht in England. He wants it sailed to Sydney. He hires a crew. The yacht is called the Mignonette. 4 men aboard. Captain Thomas Dudley, First Mate Edwin Stevens, Seaman Edmund Brooks, and a 17-year-old boy, a cabin boy, an orphan, excited to make his first real sea voyage. His name was Richard Parker. July 5th, 1884. The Mignonette is approximately 1,600 miles from the Cape of Good. South Atlantic Ocean. Late afternoon. A wave hits. And not just any wave. A wave described as towering halfway up the masthead. It strikes the stern, springs the timbers loose, and the Mignonette sinks in less than 5 minutes. 4 men, they scramble into a lifeboat. 13 feet long, boards less than a 1/4 inch thick, already holed in the rush to launch. Their provisions? 2 tins of turnips, no fresh water. That is all that they have in the middle of the South Atlantic, in the middle of July. The days, they begin to stack. Day 4, they catch a small turtle and they ate everything, including the bones. After that, nothing. By day 12, no food, no water. The men begin drinking their own urine. Richard Parker, the 17-year-old, he makes a decision that will seal his fate. He drinks the seawater. The others, they warned him not to. Salt water, it does not hydrate. It accelerates the dehydration process. It poisons the body from the inside. Within days, Richard Parker is gravely ill, barely conscious, slipping into a coma at the bottom of the boat. July 24th, nearly 3 weeks at sea, and Captain Dudley raises the unthinkable. He raises the idea of drawing lots. One person dies so the others might live. Brooks refuses outright. No lots are ever drawn. Not one straw is pulled. Instead, Dudley and Stevens, they make the decision between themselves. Without a vote, without lots, and without Parker's consent. Parker is already dying. He is the youngest. He is the weakest. And he has no family waiting for him. The records show that before he acted, Captain Dudley offered a prayer, asking for forgiveness. Should either of them be tempted to commit a rash act. Then he went to the boy. He told him that his time had come, and he put a knife to his throat. Richard Parker, 17 years old, died on July 25th, 1884. And the 3 surviving men fed on his body and blood for 4 days. On July 29th, a German ship spotted the lifeboat. Dudley Stevens Brooks, rescued, alive. Now, I need you to stop for a second. Edgar Allan Poe, 1838. A fictional cabin boy killed and consumed in a lifeboat at sea, named Richard Parker. Real life, 1884. A real cabin boy killed and consumed in a lifeboat at sea, named Richard Parker. 46 years apart. Same name, same age, same method of death, same location. A lifeboat in the open ocean. Poe wrote it first, guys. Reality followed. Here's where it gets even stranger. When Dudley and Stevens returned to England, they were arrested. Yeah. And they were charged with murder. They went to trial. Their defense? Necessity. It was him or all of us. The court said necessity is not a defense to murder. Dudley and Stevens were convicted, sentenced to death. But public sympathy was so overwhelming, the sentences were commuted. 6 months imprisonment. They walked out in May of 1885. Now, here is the detail that nobody talks about. Richard Parker's eldest brother, Daniel Parker, was in that courtroom. He stood up, he walked over to the men who had killed and eaten his brother, and he shook their hands. The gravestone on Richard Parker's tomb reads, "Lord, lay not this sin to their charge." That case, R.V. Dudley and Stevens, is still taught in law schools today. Around the world, every year Harvard calls it their favorite cannibalism case. And at Harvard Law School, the professor that teaches it, his name is Richard Parker. I told you, you weren't going to be able to let it go. Now, let me tell you about Edgar Allan Poe's death, because that is its own mystery. And it fits. October 3rd of 1849, Poe is found on the street outside a Baltimore tavern, delirious, semi-conscious, and wearing clothes that do not belong to him. Nobody knows where he has been for the last 5 days. His own cousin wrote where he spent the time or under what circumstances, I have been unable to ascertain. He is taken to the hospital. He lapses in and out of consciousness. He holds conversations with figures on the walls that only he can see. On the night before he dies, he repeatedly calls out a name. Not a name anyone can recognize, and not a name that has ever been satisfactorily explained. The name? Reynolds. Over and over. Through the night, Reynolds. On October 7th of 1849, at 5 a.m, Edgar Allan Poe died. His final words, "Lord, help my poor soul." He was 40 years old. His death certificate, lost. His medical records, lost. The cause of death, unknown. To this day, there are 26 published theories about how Edgar Allan Poe died. Murder, rabies, election fraud, cooping, poisoning, brain tumor. Nobody knows. The man who wrote Darkness for a living disappeared into it. And then, one more thing. In 2001, a novelist named Jan Martel, he published a book called Life of Pi. It is the story of a boy shipwrecked in the Pacific Ocean, stranded in a lifeboat with a Bengal tiger. Martel, he said that he was deliberately paying homage to the coincidence that had haunted literary history for over a century. He named the tiger Richard Parker. 1838, 1884, 2001. 3 different centuries, 3 different stories, 3 different writers. One name. Always near water. Always near death. Now, here is where I land. The skeptics will tell you that Richard Parker was a common name in the 19th century England. Coincidence? Nothing more. And maybe, but Edgar Allan Poe, the man who invented the detective story, the man who spent his entire career writing about death as if he understood it from the inside, he died alone in a hospital room in someone else's clothes, calling out a name that nobody could identify for reasons that nobody ever figured out. And 46 years before a real man named Richard Parker was killed in a lifeboat at sea, Poe had already written it down to the name. I'm the historical private eye, and I follow the evidence. I don't decide what it means for you. But the evidence is this. Some names, they carry something with them. Some stories, they seem to want to be told before they even happen. And the man who told this one, he died in somebody else's clothes without ever explaining himself. And I'll let you draw your own conclusions. My name's Ashley with the Curveball, and I'll see you in the shadows.